Okay, y'all, let me stop before I get started so I can share something with y'all. I'm having to replace the carrier bearings on this Chevy 2500HD 2004. I have not torn the grommet, but the bearings themselves are going out. It sounds like a wind gust as I'm going down the road. I've had 2 of these fail in the last probably 30,000 miles. So I don't know if I've got a bad brand that I was using, but I've decided to go ahead and go with a factory GM and replace that and see if that makes any difference. So I'll show you how I do it, and you can garner from that what you find useful and maybe help yourself do this job. Before you get started, because you're going to be taking the drive shaft off, your truck can roll away. Go ahead and shock the wheels so nothing's moving. Let's get started. Okay, there's the carrier bearing. That's what we're going to be replacing. Like I said, the grommet, whatever you call it, it has not failed. It's the bearing itself is squealing pretty badly. So to take it loose, has to be removed from the frame, and it has 2 5/8 inch nuts, and we have to remove the U-joint from the rear. There are 4 of those, and they are 7/16 of an inch. Here's something I like to do before I take the drive shaft loose, because I don't need to take the whole drive shaft with me. I just tie it to the frame, allows me to wiggle it back and forth, but it keeps it from dropping on the ground and holds it up for me. Then after you get the U-joint caps off, get you either a claw hammer or a crowbar or something, stick in here and just lightly pop it out. There we go. Onto the front. Okay, this is the part right here. I'm not going to be able to video me doing it, but I've got the nuts off of the carrier bearing. What you need to do is push up and then push back towards the rear of the vehicle. That'll allow the spline to come out of the transmission. Then you can separate these two. Okay, you can see we've got it separated from the transmission. What we need to do is remove this little clamp right here. You can just get back in here and pry it back. You may or may not be able to reuse this, but that's what's holding this on to the second part. Then you'll be able to separate it. You can just let this hang down when you're finished and just take this end to work on. Okay, there's our drive shaft separated on the ground. Just remember on this end back here, oh, excuse me, you've got your U-joints here. You want to make sure that you don't bang these into this. Make sure the caps stay on, or else you'll be messing them up and you might need to replace these. So just a little care and you'll be fine. There's our other half. So all we're going to do now is pull this out and go take this off. Okay, we got it off, and here's our sound. Them bearings don't sound good, but worse than that, look at that. The bearing assembly is like it's separating on itself. So get this off and replace it. Now, sometimes you need to take this metal cap off and or cut this rubber grommet off. What I like to do first, or try anyway, I like a piece of, this is I think 1/8 inch plate steel. If you can get it in here and wedge it just right and strike it with a sledge, not crazy, just enough, you can get this thing to start moving, then you can tap it right off. No blow torches, angle grinders, sawzall, any of that. I've been able to get every single one off using this method, but occasionally I've got to cut this off first. So let's get it clamped up and see what we can do. All right, here we go. I'm just slow and steady. There you go. If you can hear this. But the whole bearing inside here is loose. So, what we need to do now, this here is pretty clean. In fact, it's not marked at all, but get you some steel wool, emery cloth, something. Just make sure this is cleaned up very well. And then you put your new bearing on. When you clean this off, the intent isn't trying to take metal or anything off. You are just trying to ensure that it is smooth and there's no grunge on it. And because this one was done such a short time ago, everything was still very clean. For whatever reason, I said that premature failure on the bearing. So now, what I like to do is go ahead and just put a little lube on this. Make sure my bearing itself is clean. And put a little lube on the inside of it. We get ready to start on. And for my specialty installation tool for these, I like to use Schedule 40 1.5 inch PVC. It fits right on the race on the inside. You're not pounding anything else. You're striking right on the inner race to push it in. So, let's get it lined up and get the sledge and start putting it on. Just make sure that you're keeping it on the race. And we have bottomed this out. We are good to go. Now we just install our end cap. This is what the protective sleeve attaches to. Tap me. Yep, everything sounds solid. See, I'm not slamming it or hitting it hard. I'm just making sure it's seated very well. And the tone tells there's no ringing. It is solid. Okay. No sound. Only thing that's wiggling is a rubber, and that's how it should be. So, we need to get this thing reinstalled. Now, somebody may be wondering, hey man, you didn't mark your drive shaft. How are you going to line it back up? These have a spline sleeve, and there is a double spline. I don't know if you can see it, but this is it right here. See that mark? There's a double spline. It will only fit back in one way. If you put it in wrong, you have really, you've really messed up. But here's the double spline. We just line that back up, and the other end is the same way. It's got a double spline on it, so it's keyed. It has to be reinstalled correctly. I want you to have a better view. Here's the one that goes in the transmission end, and there is the double keyed spline right underneath my fingernail there. See, everything else is single, and then you've got double. And this end, here's our double here. See, everything is singled all the way around. Then you got this one that's doubled, and it's very shallow in here. So before I put these on, we're going to make sure this is very clean. We'll do the other end as well. We're going to put a little grease on it and slide this thing back together. Okay. Difficult to film under here, laying on the ground, but this is the transmission end. You're going to slide that splined in, the open female spline back into the transmission and align it with the double spline. Slide it in, and let me get my hand out of the way. There we go. You see, I'm not on the bolts yet. Slide it in. Then once you get it seated, then you just set it back down on the bolts, and you're good to go here. Okay, and that's on. So now we need to reattach our drive shaft, aligning it with the double spline. And once that's done, then we can get it put back into the rear housing. Okay, we got this part back together. Just be patient on this. It can be real aggravating if you cannot see them to line them up. Be patient, work your way around, and you'll get it. The worst thing you do is try to force it. Once you get to the right spot, it will just slide in. Now, remember when I said here at the back, things may not line up after you get it all back together because it rolled a little bit? Well, as you can see, I'm off by a few degrees. So what I need to do is go put the truck in neutral so I can spin the drive shaft, that way about an inch. Okay, just put it in neutral. Spun the drive shaft a little bit, popped them right in. Now we just put the caps back on and give her a test drive. Well, as I suspected, that took care of the problem. Again, I don't know what issues I was having with the carry bearings. I guess there's a chance that I got two in a row that just happened to be bad. They were under warranty, but you know, I don't like having to fix them every few months. So we'll try the GM factory one and see if that does the trick. One thing I didn't mention, when you're putting that dust cover back on, if the little factory clamp that's there, all it is it goes around it, and there's a little tang that sticks through a hole. You can just bend that back and it will hold it together. If that doesn't work, just get you one of worm gear type clamp to replace it with. All it is just help keep dirt out of there and help keep it clean. So anyway, I hope you found this useful. I always appreciate y'all stopping by and checking things out, and as usual, good luck with your projects.